Free your mind.
This world is full of evil, but it doesn't have to be that way. Because you can do and become anything that you set your mind to. We can either build a paradise on earth or a hell on earth. But first, you have to stop doing and advocating for evil things. This is Morality Matters. Today's episode is direct, maybe even uncomfortable for some, but it is necessary. We are asking, are you an evil person? Not in theory, but in practice. So first, I'll give you a question that you should contemplate upon yourself and in everything that you do in your daily life, and that is the average person on this planet truly loving? Are they awake, moral, driven, disciplined, and most importantly, are they working for freedom? If you say yes, you're either living in the suburbs somewhere where it's an idealistic place where you're in a very small bubble and an echo chamber of people that have good intentions and look out for each other. Either that, or you're lying to yourself. Because unfortunately, this world is full of people, and it's been this way for a very, very long time. It's full of people that only care about comfort. Not truth, not righteousness, not even virtue, but either their ego, their self, their base desires, and maybe at the most, their close friends and family. This is the root of the evil that exists in our world. It doesn't have to just be the devil. It doesn't have to be pure evil people that are going around killing people and committing crimes, although that all plays into it. It's simply based on the average person in their mindset, their actions, their belief, things of that nature. And so, please contemplate upon yourself and go out and even experiment for yourself and see, is the average person acting in these virtuous, courageous ways? Or are they living in ignorance, in zombie mode? Because ultimately it is that way. But it doesn't have to be that way. People are often just kind to their friends or family at most, but most of all they care about themselves and their own ego, and this is the problem. And ultimately, they are complicit in the systems of death that exist on this planet, both in ideology and in action. Most people are mindless sheep. They are ants, peons, walking around aimlessly and hoping and expecting that one day a big bag of money or what they seek is just going to fall onto their doorstep and everything's just going to fall in place, when unfortunately the world does not work that way. You have to be a disciplined, you have to be a good person to actually get what you want to achieve in this place. At least anything that's worthwhile, and that anything that is going to consequence over onto other people. So, when you think of evil, you may be thinking of crime, criminals, gangsters, things of that like, and of course they are not good. If they're infringing upon the rights of other people and they're harming others, certainly not good. But actually evil is so rampant in this place because people are ignorant, they are cowardly, they are careless, they are solipsistic, and they advocate for harmful systems that exist, that have existed for a very, very long time. But like I say, they do not have to be that way. It is only that way because people are inactive. So there are a few things that we have to consider and understand and really look out for if we want to avoid evil in our lives. And this is because the root of all evil doesn't actually come from what you should start doing. It's more about what you should stop doing, what you should stop advocating for, and actually, once you've done that, then you can start acting and really start creating for the better. So the most important thing, and even the Egyptians back in the ancient times, they would know this. One of the most evil things is ignorance. Ignorance is evil. Ignorance is death. It is the end of all that is good. It is the end of all progress and imagination. And in fact, although the saying goes that ignorance is bliss, what you ignore will not allow you to prepare for what is coming round the hill. If there's a boulder coming down a hill and you're just walking along, I'm going to ignore it, It might be bliss for that for that brief period of when you're not being hit, but as soon as that monster or that boulder rolls down the hill and squashes you, unless you eradicate ignorance from yourself, it is going to only harm you because you're not going to be able to prepare for the danger that's around your shoulder. So it was actually Socrates that once said, and take it from this man, one of the wisest people of all time. Socrates said, "There is only one good, knowledge, and there is only one evil, ignorance." They once knew it in the past, and now instead, ignorance is actually seen as a virtue. Obedience is seen as a virtue. Like I've said previously, everything on this planet has been flipped on its head, and you've been told that a lie is actually the truth in many, many ways. And that's the purpose and motivation of this channel, is to show you these contradictions that exist, and hopefully you can rationalise and understand them and sympathise with them, and then change your own lives, and then that will reflect out into the world. Ricky Gervais once said, "Ignorance might be bliss for the ignorant for a brief period of time, but for the rest of us, it is a pain in the arse." Wiser words were never spoken. This image just goes to show ignorance might be bliss if you're standing on that little tree stump just minding your own business and there's a massive snake coming right behind you to bite you. Like I say, you have to eradicate ignorance from yourself so that you can prepare for the dangers around the corner. Don't ignore the negative, don't live in just the negative and fear, but you have to be aware and be in knowledge. Like Socrates said, knowledge is key, knowledge is power, but not only containing and possessing knowledge, but it is what you do with the knowledge that is what all power comes from. So in this world, this image right here of this guy is the mascot, the pinnacle of what it means to be basically an evil person. At the very least, to be a unproductive, damaging person. If you are this guy, I highly suggest that you take another look at yourself and consider actually, what am I doing with my life? Because if you're just the couch potato, the armchair quarterback, the microwave dinner slave, then you might think that you're okay, you might just be living in your comfort bubble, and you might be fine with that. Enjoy. I'm not going to force you to change your ways or suggest that what I say is right. It's about you hearing what I have to say and then thinking about it deeply and then trying to change that for yourself. But hopefully even common sense, although it's not that common, will show you that this way of life is the major problem in this world, and especially in an age of TikTok and Instagram Reels being the huge hours and hours of every day, the main attraction of people's lives. This is more rampant than it's ever been. To just be a couch potato, just to be an inactive feather in the wind, that is the start, the pinnacle of all evil in this place. Next up is solipsism. You hopefully have heard of this before. Any sort of philosopher would tell you that solipsism is terrible. That if you have a philosophical argument and it ends up concluding that solipsism is true, then basically your argument is very, very flawed and it's led you down to the cul-de-sac, the trap. Solipsism is what you want to become aware of, obviously, but you want to definitely eradicate this from yourself because you may be believing in this without you even knowing it. And solipsism is basically the idea that only I exist, that only I can know that I exist and nothing else matters, nothing else exists. All I know is that I exist, and then therefore the rest of the world and truth itself is uncertain. And if you're living in this mindset, unfortunately you have fallen for the biggest lie that exists. Because what progress, what good can you actually do in the world if you only think, only I exist, I create what is right, nothing else matters, only me, myself and I. It's just a self-surrounding world. I'm just living in my little bubble. Hopefully, once again, common sense can show you that this is not a good way to live, and it is the pinnacle of selfishness and stupidity, ultimately. And this, especially, is a major problem in this world. That is self-service only, ego worship. Because of course we all have an ego. We can't truly eradicate that from ourselves, as much as some self-help gurus will try and tell you and some books will try and tell you ego is the enemy. The ego isn't the highest of goods. The ego isn't what should be attained for and aspired for completely in our lives, the ego is there to be used as a tool. It's for our other parts of our mind to understand and control, and use ego for certain things to help us orienteer our way in life. But it shouldn't be served as the be-all and end-all, because as you'll see in a future episode, ego worship and self-preservation, no matter who you step on and no matter what harm it causes, that, my friends, is the definition of Satanism. Ego worship is the major cancer that exists in this society. And you may have not even seen it before as Satanism. It doesn't have to be someone wearing an inverted cross Baphomet and killing goats and sacrificing babies. It doesn't have to be all that. It's simply the belief that only I matter, and no matter who suffers, as long as I get to the point where I want to go, the base desires that I serve and worship, no matter how much money I make, that's all that matters to you, and your selfish desires, and you'll step on whoever and harm whoever and advocate for whatever, if those are the things that you only care about, and if all you do in this life, your highest aspiration is me, myself, and I serving the ego, then you are in a very, very troubled place. And you don't have to take it from me. You can even use a scientific method on this. Live a month of just full self-service and ego and absolute selfishness of caring about no one else and just stepping on all over people, harming everyone. You are guaranteed to see the problems that come about from that. Not even prison, but just obstacles and guilt and shame and all the things like that. You are going to see them guaranteed to come about. It's all cause and effect. Whereas if, on the other hand, if you were to live a full month of just selflessness, you don't have to completely eradicate your desires for yourself, because obviously you have to fix and work on yourself first and make sure that your base desires are covered. You shouldn't have them as your highest aspirations. If you live out an entire month serving what is right and what is truly your purpose, you are guaranteed to be able to see a better outcome coming about from that. So evil isn't just pitchforks and fire and running around and, like I say, robbing people or stabbing people. Once again, it's tied into that, but it's simply who you are. It's apathy, ignorance, complicity, obedience, ego worship, and most controversially, one of the worst things of all, even almost beyond ignorance, is the advocation and the complicity and working for order following. This is very controversial for many people, as they want to see obedience as a virtue. They want to see serving as the military or even the police as a great, almost noble profession to do. When actually, if you are serving the powers that be, you are vermin. As much as it's bold words here. If you are a bootlicker, if you are a full supporter of the tyranny that comes about from police states and from just blind order following, no matter what the orders are, is a very slippery slope to all trouble. It's an extreme example, I know, but look at Nazi Germany. You think those SS officers and the Nazi, well, all the Nazis of the time, do you think they were good people? Do you think that they're just let off scot-free because they were just following orders, because they were just told what to do? I just got to do my job, got to get my paycheck and look after my family. No matter what excuse they throw upon that, they were still a Nazi. They were still doing evil, harmful things. No matter who up top, up high, wrote whatever down, did whatever ritual and wore some funny clothes, no matter what they did, they still created man-made, nonsensical laws that we've spoke of before and we will speak a lot of in the future. They advocate those and they enforce them without even thinking. This, my friends, is a cult. And you might not even expect this coming from me, but this is crucial to understand, because if we are to have a dystopia and have a police state come about worldwide in this place, these are the people that will create that prison for us, unless they stand up and say no when they are told to do to follow an order that is harmful and against the natural laws of this universe. People, you don't have to just actually be in the military or the police. You can actually fund this tyranny with your tax dollars or tax pounds. You can simply advocate for the rulers. You can vote. You can follow orders in any regard. You can support them no matter what level it goes, from local to global government. They are all symptoms of evil. And even if you were to look at one of these images of full police violence, police brutality, hopefully you still have the common sense in your being to help you realise and understand the harmful nature and the almost satanic theme of this. If you can just see, this is not something good. You look at a peaceful protest and then some agent provocateur comes in and throws a couple bricks, and then boom, the non-lethal weapons come out. It's a slippery slope when there's police that follow orders without question. Einstein had an amazing quote. You're going to be hearing many quotes from Einstein throughout my work because he was a smart man beyond science. He knew quite a lot of things, quite a high consciousness man. Not perfect by any means, but he certainly had some great quotes. And he said, "The world is a dangerous place to live, not because of the people who are evil, but because of the people who don't do anything about it." You don't have to be actively causing harm or evil in the world. All you have to do is sit back and say, that's not my job, I don't care, or I support that, or I go out and vote for that. That's all that is required, at the very least, to be considered an evil person. And I can guarantee you, karma will not let you get scot-free from that. As much as you might want to believe otherwise, your consequences will catch up with you. And so all of these things that I've just mentioned are doing exactly this. God is trying to point his finger out on you and trying to say, grab my finger and come with me. And what are we doing? Sitting back, laying on our couch and doing this to the creator of the universe. Because everything that we do, every opportunity that arises in our lives, believe it or not, it is a matter of you are being presented with an opportunity once again to follow love or to follow fear. Do you want to create order? Do you want to create chaos? And if you are sitting back and doing this to all that is good and to the entire creator of this place, the most powerful force that there is, if you are sticking your fingers up to that and turning away and turning your back, you are not going to be able to create anything good, anything worthwhile. And if we do this in society at large, we are only going to create for ourselves a hell realm, a prison. And the reason why I'm even here is because this is going further and further and further down. We are in a crucial time of which we can either create this paradise like I speak of, or we are going to go into chains that we cannot break. And so just to hammer this point in further, other than even actually being one of these order followers, if you simply just have a job that supports either government or just an immoral industry, factory farming, the list goes on and on and on of things that are either morally relative or harmful in some regard. If you're a tax collector, wrong livelihood. And so the theme of this entire channel, freedom, morality, this is the key. Carl Jung, one of the most important psychologists of all time, had an amazing quote. He said, "Without freedom, there can be no morality." And this is highly, highly important because I would say without morality, there can be no freedom. This is the law of freedom that I heavily emphasize on this channel, that freedom and morality are directly proportional. As one rises, the other rises. As one falls, the other falls. And so they are interlinked, intertwined. And so if you understand, if you try your very hardest to understand that you cannot be an evil person, and that if everyone in this world, at least 50%, are evil people, then we will only create the opposite of freedom, chaos and slavery. That is the formula for all of this. So evil is crucial to understand and eradicate from ourselves. And now, the biggest one of all. the almost more controversial than the order following topic, religion. Unfortunately, and take this with a pinch of salt, religion is the main key of evil in this entire planet. And it has many, many forms. It doesn't just include Christianity, Islam, Judaism, things like that. They are only the mainstream religions. And this topic is way too huge to just cover in this episode without it being over an hour, so I'll have another episode based on it. But what you must understand is when I talk of religion, I'm not talking about believing in God. I'm not talking about believing in Jesus or Buddha. I'm talking about having a dogmatic belief system that is based in unquestionable belief, only faith, and just the blind here and no further belief system of this book, whichever one it may be, is the complete arbiter of truth. Nothing else matters. This is my little thought cage. This is my little belief system. Everything else is junk. Everything else is nonsense or demons or whatever. Screw everything else. This is what I need, here and no further. And because, like I say, I'll discuss it further in the future, the word religion speaks it all. It comes from the Latin religare, which means to hold back, to tie back, or to thwart from forward progress. And this encapsulates it perfectly, because no matter what it is, whether it's government, whether it's money, no matter what your religion is, no matter what your false dogmatic belief system is, it will hold you back from any progress, especially towards what is good. Because the purpose of this place, to summarize, the purpose of this incarnation is to come here and to learn and grow in consciousness. And you can only do that if you're constantly moving, and especially only moving up. If you are only saying, this is my rules, no further, screw everything else, this is my book, these are my teachings that my priest or imam or whatever told me, and you say here and no further, you are not going to be able to make any progress. You may have the illusion of progress, you may be able to obviously orienteer your daily life and do certain things. You're not going to just be fully stagnant, but it's all about constant progression. It's about learning more and more and more, realizing knowledge, like Socrates said, knowledge is knowing how little you know. It's constantly moving on and on and on and on. You can most certainly appreciate the ideas that Christianity, for example, there are many, many incredible things that are put in the Bible. You don't have to throw it all away, because once again, it's all about discernment. It's about using your own mind and using your rational abilities to discern, okay, this part has a lot of sense to it. This part has probably either been mistranslated or put in by man, or should be taken with a pinch of salt, things like that. You can ideally take all of the holy books, open them all at the same time, spend as much time as you need to look into all of them, and then combine the consistencies and throw away the junk. And once again, always have this context of doing no harm and trying to follow virtue. That should be what is key. And all of these religions ultimately portray the same thing: to live like the holy figure that they speak of, whether that's Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Krishna, Shiva, any of them. They all advocate to follow their actions, not to just sit back and believe that one day they're going to they're going to come down from the clouds and save us all from our ignorance. That is not correct. That is a mistranslation. It's about being like them. And like Jesus said, know the truth and the truth will set you free. It's about what you do. It's about being that person. It's about embodying, specifically, Christ consciousness, for example. If you build that in yourself and then that spreads out into the entire world, we are, within decades, a few years even, going to be able to create an incredible place on this planet. Whereas if we just shun that all aside and live in the opposition, Satanism, then we can only create more and more suffering. So I won't spend any more time on this because there will be a whole episode on this, but I hope you can understand the key that having a dogmatic here and no further belief system, no matter what that is, whether it's one of the mainstream religions or government or money, you have to free yourself from these thought traps. This is what the rulers of the world feed on, other than fear and cowardice. Having a thought trap in any form, having a label that just says, this is me, nothing else, that is going to create very hard times for yourself and for the world. The job is to realize that you are everything. You are pure consciousness on the base level of all of it. You're not any of your labels. You're not your job, your gender, your status, your marital status, your friends, family, anything. You are pure awareness on the furthest back level that we can go as. And our job is, and this is what the Holy Figures emphasized, our job is to step back and realize who you are. And so here is what is most important, the solutions. Because I can't just provide a problem without understanding that there is a solution. And there are a few solutions seeded in already of what I've said of it's more about what you stop doing than when you start. It's about not advocating for certain things, trying to live for virtues, for goodness, being as nice and selfless as you can. Obviously, trying to find the balance with all of this, because balance is key. It's not about being in the extremes of one or the other. It's about the golden mean right in the middle. And the best point to start with is shadow work. Once again, there'll be a whole episode on this because it's way too long to get into. But the point is, you've got to look in the mirror. No external distractions, maybe a notepad and pen if you like, but you have to stand in front of a mirror, ask yourself the big questions of what do I advocate for? What do I do? What have I done wrong? Who am I? And really look yourself in the eyes and think to yourself, who am I? What do I advocate for? What do I do in my life? What is my purpose? What am I serving? Am I just in a stagnant rat race of just being another sheep, of just keep your head down, go to your job, enjoy the weekend and dread the week? Maybe if you enjoy that life, go ahead. But you've got to do this shadow work where you really look at yourself and contemplate rationally who you are, what do you advocate for, and what you do. This is the key. Other than this, you have to remember and remind yourself, like I say, remember who you are. You are simply pure consciousness, pure awareness, having a human experience. You are an expression of the creator of this universe, a branch on the tree that is God. You are this branch that comes off, that's here to learn and grow in this brief drop in the ocean of eternity, here to experience and do what you can in this place, and then boom, you return back into the infinity in all directions that is really what is surrounding everything here. Remember who you are, and that will allow you to become great. Realize that you are not this body, you're not the labels, you're not your job and your social status, all these things. You are simple awareness, you are consciousness, and you are spirit. And this is all encapsulated and brought together and contextualized by understanding worldview violence. It's all about how you see the world. Like I just said, if you are just on its face understanding everything out here is just a simulation, a hologram, and I'm pure awareness, and every mind out there is basically just another expression of me, and therefore, as one suffers, all suffer, and that God exists, all that stuff. If you have a worldview that is somewhat on that line, it doesn't have to be the exact same, and that's the beauty of it. You don't have to comply with this one thing that I say, and then that's here and no further. That's just as bad as having a religion. It's all about understanding that your worldview is what matters. Your perspective and how you see the world and how you orienteer your actions. That is what is key. You must really contemplate what this place is and realize that it's not just 3D dense nothingness and that we die and it's all blackness, or we die and we either go to heaven or hell. It's more complex than that, and it's key to contemplate what your worldview is. Now, one of the best ways to allow yourself to really open yourself to this information, to start gaining knowledge, other than love, like I discussed in the previous episode, you can employ the Teachability Index. This is incredible and the key to allowing yourself to really grow and learn and improve. As you see in this image, there is the Teachability Index. It is a bell curve, and you don't want to be on either end of the spectrum. Once again, it's all about balance and being together, being in harmony and being in the midpoint as much as you can. Because when you are in this midpoint of being teachable, you will allow yourself to be knowledgeable. You will allow yourself to really keep learning and growing and improving. So on this spectrum, you have the very end point of you are completely arrogant, that you just think, I know that everything there is to know, I'm good, I hear and no further, screw everything else, I'm the man. nothing else. That is going to be basically the hardest place to get any knowledge and get any improvement and go anywhere. On the other end, you can be completely naive and just take everything you hear as face value and just, yep, cool, and question nothing. Arguably just as bad. They are both on the very ends of the spectrum. And these, as you go in, have different symptoms. You can either be overly gullible, you can be overly cynical, where you're just skeptical of absolutely everything and you're not new of anything else. As you slowly move in and in and in, you find the perfect point of the point between being a student and being a teacher, of when you're at that perfect point of not being too gullible and not being too hard-headed and closed-minded. You have to try and aspire, and once again, you don't have to be perfect. You have to aspire to be in this midpoint as much as you can, and then you allow yourself to be perfectly teachable, and everything you come across, remind yourself, make it a habit to every bit of new information that you come across, remind yourself, what is my teachability? What is my teachability? How open-minded am I? How closed-minded am I? You constantly have to ask yourself this and realise and rationalise where you are. And remember that you are here to learn and grow. And there is only one way to do that. And that's by being in this middle of this teachability index and then opening yourself to truth and love. So, as much as the world is evil, like I say, as your average person's mostly just in the dumpster mentally, that's not all that matters. Don't just be wallowing around in hopelessness and, oh, woe is me, having a pity party. Understand that you have to be the change that you want to see in the world. It all begins from within. Because yes, the world is broken, but it doesn't have to be that way. And in fact, you changing first, and then when you get to a good enough point, trying to help other people do the same, that is the exact formula of getting out of this place of more control and scarcity and poverty. It is the only way to get out. You must become disciplined, and you must become knowledgeable and powerful in things of this nature. Most importantly, you have to become the black sheep. If you haven't already realised and haven't already had this sort of contemplation, that hopefully if you're listening to this sort of information, you're the sort of person already to realise, I'm a little different to everyone else. I question things a little more. There are certain things that just don't make sense. You know, maybe it's the religion that your parents indoctrinated you into believing when you were growing up. Maybe it's just the realisation that no matter what politician comes into power, that they're all liars and they're all corrupt. Maybe you're slowly aggregating these, piecing these puzzle pieces together and realising, yeah, some of this doesn't make sense. Well, like I say, most people in this place are sheep, they're ants, they are pawns in the game of control. And it doesn't have to be that way for you. You can become the black sheep. And the solution is stand out. No matter who laughs, no matter who criticises and says whatever, screw them. It does not matter. Because what matters is that you understand the truth here and say, no matter what the consequences, no matter what anyone else says, I'm going to be my authentic self. I'm going to follow my purpose, my passion. I'm going to work relentlessly to create and do what I came here to do. Because believe it or not, we all have a purpose. We all have a mission. And it has a very similar end, but we are all here for different things. Some of us may be more artistic. Some of us might like music a bit more. Some of us might be good at speech or good at playing video games. It's about our constant questioning of that and realising the only way to make change is to stand out from the crowd and be different. And I don't even have to give examples for you to already hopefully realise throughout history, the people that made change societally, the people who ended black slavery, they were the ones who stood out. They were the ones who said, enough is enough. Screw what everyone else says of what the beliefs that they have and their indoctrinations. I'm going to stand out, stand righteously, authentically as this black sheep, stand out from the crowd and turn around, and eventually the other sheep will look at your authenticity and be inspired and be in awe of your courage. And once again, God of this universe, regardless of what you want to think of it as, God respects courage and action. And if you are that authentic, powerful person, then you are going to be taking the first step of getting out of your problems. And most importantly, you are going to be able to stop yourself from being an evil person. And once again, when you do it internally, yourself, as everyone else follows, this all comes together and we can create a planet of pure potential. It doesn't have to be some utopia, some idealistic, non-achievable end. Simply, as long as we are not doing this, and the very least we are doing this, but ideally doing this. Because when we do that, we can go to the stars. Literally and non-literally. And so I'll leave you with this. Remind yourself. Control your ego. Stop playing the victim. As much as we all have our traumas, our troubles, our horrific pasts, stop playing the victim. Rationalize your problems. Realize you can change. You must change. Not based on what I say, but based on what is right, what the creator of this place, which you should have a one-to-one connection with, what that force wants you to do is to not sit around lazy and cowardice and in ignorance. You are here to do great things, and the fact that you're even listening to my voice right now means that you are powerful beyond measure. It's just a matter of, are you going to recognize that and consistently keep acting towards that? So, you say that you might care for all this stuff? Prove it. Change your actions. Change your mind. And most importantly, reclaim your soul. And remember, evil exists purely because good people do nothing. Ask yourself, are you going to be, and are you currently one of the good ones? Be honest. Or are you just another cog in the machine, just another ant to get stepped on, just another cow walking into the slaughterhouse? Ask yourself this. Hopefully, if you've made it this far, you hear the truth in this information. You appreciate what I have to say. And if you do, it would be incredible if you could leave a like. You could share to as many people as you can so we can get this information out there. If you could subscribe, turn on post notifications so that you can see the future information that I speak of, because as my content goes on, it's going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into what allows you to grow and come here to do what you came here to do and expose the secrets that have been hidden from us all that stop us from making any progress. The one thing that rules it all, there is only one rule: do no harm. No masters, no slaves. This has been Morality Matters. I hope you've enjoyed. Leave a comment, all of that stuff. I'll see you next time when we go even deeper into the rabbit hole of truth. See you later.